We are so excited, right, Beth?
We
Um,
are. Nice to meet you.
yeah, so we do have a lot of new moms that I see in the chat, but not all, which is great. And hopefully, for our moms who have even been with us for a few years, you'll learn something new. Because we're going to take you through our website and give you some tips. So again, like Jay said, if you've got any questions, we may go ahead and answer those, but you can go ahead and put those in, and Diane, one of our other counselors, is going to be answering those as we go. So I will just go ahead and introduce myself, and then Beth can as well. I'm Lonnie Carey, and actually, I've been the high school guidance counselor for years, but I do a workshop on teaching the way kids learn, and actually have counseled lots and lots of our elementary moms through the years, because that's who I love the elementary years. There's so much fun. So we're going to teach you and just share with you some things that, hopefully you can use in your classroom. And especially if you're new, you're going to get lots of pointers on how to make this a fun journey. So I started homeschooling in 1991 with my oldest daughter. And then we just kept doing it and kept doing it. And they've all graduated from homeschool, and mine all ended up going to college. Kids don't have to, that's for sure, but mine did. And one son graduated from the Air Force Academy. So I've got my two boys that are major and captain in the Air Force. And, just to kind of show, not to brag, because believe you me, I did not do anything special. We'll talk about that. But your kids can just rise up and be who they want to be. And you really get to see that when you homeschool. So and the most important thing is we did have lots of fun, So, Beth?
I'm Beth Jameson, and I homeschooled my kids all the way through. Two kids, both graduated. My youngest graduated in the spring. And so started working for Home Life this summer. So I'm the elementary academic counselor and also help with elementary special needs. So excited to chat with you about those things today.
Okay, so we have, let's see, a cold midnight from Dubai. And I know we've got some from South Africa as well. We do enroll students from all over the globe and in all 50 states. So we're going to talk about that just a little bit, go through, just, introduce you to a little bit of how to get started in homeschool rules and regs and things like that. We have a lot of new with kindergartners, which is awesome. So let's just go ahead. What Beth and I are going to do is we're going to take you to our Home Life Academy website and just kind of show you where everything is. And this is a great resource for you and for moms that you may be talking to who are kind of wondering about this homeschooling thing. And so you don't know all the answers. We don't know all the answers even, but you can take them to our website. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and I will start out, and we're just going to kind of take you through those top tabs on our website. Okay. So when you go and just click homelifeacademy.com, okay, you are going to be here. And, under YHLA, you can meet us all. It's not updated. We're actually in the process of redesigning our website again. So we're going to bring it up to date. We'll have Beth on there and all our new counselors, which are not there right now, but we will update this. Then you can go to Enroll Now. Okay, a wealth of information under Enroll Now, and that's what I've got up right now. Why choose HLA? Make sure it's going to work for you, because you really do need computer access. You don't have to be totally computer savvy, but we do things online and through email, and you've got an online account. So you do really have to have a computer or at least a good cell phone. So we're gonna have all this information. And like I said, if you are sharing with friends of yours, then you can just say, hey, go to the Home Life Academy website. They are going to answer all your questions. Okay. Even for kids that we used to have to say, oh, we don't have anything for you. We don't ever have to say that anymore, because even kids coming out of the worst situations in public school with, like, for instance, with a lot of failing grades for whatever reason, we've got our NEST program where we can help you and give the kids the structure and the help that they need. So a lot of information there. Whoops. Okay, we've got our requirements here, and we have so much stuff. It would take me and Beth all day long to go through the website. So we are going to just kind of show you what's here and say, hey, before you feel lost, go to our website. Now, you may notice that when you are on our website, we have live chat. So if you're scrolling through and you have a question, say, about your education plan, what in the world is that? Even though we've got information here, you might have a question. Hey, can I put this? Can I use this? Guess what? Just click on this live chat. We have our live chat counselors all the time. Okay. So that's super, super helpful. So we got all the questions here on education plans. And that's one thing when you register, you probably notice that you have to tell us what you're going to be doing. If you change, you don't have to get approval from us to change that. What you're doing is you're letting us know that you know what you're doing and you don't need help from us. You put that in there. Or sometimes you're telling us that you do need help from us, and we can recognize that and contact you, have one of the counselors. For elementary, it's probably going to be bad. So, we've got our registration fees. You can even calculate and kind of estimate before you ever enroll what the cost is going to be. And the first year, it's going to be more, to get you all set up and all the counseling and everything. But after that, be sure that you re-enroll during our specials. So we have re-enrollment specials all through the year where you get lots of discounts. And it's super, super inexpensive. Okay, and one thing I wanted to show you is if you click on homeschooling in your state, you can even go over here to homeschooling in Tennessee, Florida. That should not be there. Washington, I don't know why that's there. I had asked them to delete that because it takes you to Florida. Alabama, Colorado, South Carolina. Those are the states, yeah, those are the states that we totally legally cover you. And what does that mean? That means that when you enroll with us in those states, you do not have to do anything with your local Board of Education. You don't have to do anything as far as enrolling as an independent homeschooler unless your students are involved in sports or dual enrollment in Florida. So those are things that, you can just, say you're in Florida. You click on the state because Florida has some different specific things. So they've got all the requirement, and then they have the note about sports and registering for Florida Virtual School, all kinds of different things here. It should have something about dual enrollment, I'm thinking. Maybe not. Maybe that's on a different page. I don't even know what all's on here. There's so much on our website. And one thing that I use a lot, I don't know about you, Beth, but I use the search bar a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because even though I'm pretty familiar with it, you may go, how did she get to that page? What all did she click? Just search up here and you can see a lot of the things that I search for. You know, just put it in the search bar and it will go right to it. So, so back to the homeschooling in your state. You know, you can just click on whatever state you're in. Now, if you are international, then you're going to go down to the international tab because we have a whole global group in Home Life Academy, all of our international counselors in April. And then we do have groups, you know, so we do have like sports groups and international groups and things like that where they enroll as a group. So there's a lot of options here. And if you do have questions about this part now, let me say just another quick thing about requirements when you homeschool. This might look like a lot of requirements and, you know, again, different states are different. Pretty much you're going to want to enroll by the time your school starts in your area. So your kids aren't considered truant, okay? You do want to make sure you're homeschooling them 4 hours a day. That's state law in most states, but again, check with your state, you know, and we're going to show you as we go that 4 hours a day does not necessarily look like you think it might. You know, you might think at the very beginning that means sitting down at their desk or at the kitchen table, homeschooling for those 4 solid hours. Now we're done, now we play. And it's usually not what it looks like once you get settled in, because the reality is that they are learning, you know, all day long. And so, you know, I got more and more relaxed as I went, but I actually started like that. I was totally imitating the public school system when I started, but that's not necessarily what that 4 hours looks like. And then you have to report your grades and attendance twice a year in Apple Core. For the most part, unless you're in Alabama, you're just going to put in, you know, the 90 because they need 180 days. Okay. And so again, I used to just keep up with every hour of every day. Did you do that, Bev?
Not so much.
I did. Well, I started way back in 1990 and, you know, we didn't know anything about homeschooling and we didn't know if someone was going to come knocking at our doors. So I kept up with all that. And then I realized as I went that my kids are learning all the time. They're even learning when they're playing. You know, that's something we're going to talk about just a little bit more as we go. So, you know, so your personality is different. Every homeschool is different. And so you do what you need to do, you know, to feel very, very comfortable. But as far as the law goes, homeschool 4 hours a day, 180 days a year, and, you know, report everything to us twice a year, and you're probably going to be good to go. So now Beth is going to cover academics. I will stop my screen and let you take it away.
Okay. Okay, can y'all see my screen? Okay, so I'm going to talk about academics. We're going to look here at the K through 8th grades. So a minimum of 4 courses is recommended. So that's usually language arts, math, and then 2 other courses of your choice. So you might say, well, what am I going to do besides language arts and math? Well, we've got some suggestions here for you. Science, social studies, art, music, PE, Bible. Those are all suggestions. You don't have to do those every year. You might do science one year, social studies the next. You might do art one year, music the next, something like that. But just it's recommended that you do 4 subjects. So language arts, which includes reading and writing, math, and then 2 others. And you can pick from those. You know, it can be, especially for younger kids. I saw we had several kindergartners, parents of kindergartners, you know, keep it simple, go for nature walks, do fun experiments, you know, read out loud to your kids. You know, PE can be playtime. You know, go to the park, let them run around and get their wiggles out, right? Just you have a lot of flexibility. Play games, they can learn through playing. You know, they're learning counting and that kind of thing. Just keep it fun. So testing is not required. You can test if you want to, and we do have some information of places that you can go to get tests if you are interested in that. So kind of like we were saying before, everything counts, you know, gardening, field trips, you know, let your kids' interests guide them. You know, if they're interested in birds, you know, do a study on birds, go to the library, get books on birds, you know, and follow their interests. You can bake cookies together, go to the grocery store, and, you know, you can do a math lesson while you're at the grocery store. You can do budgeting, that kind of thing. So let's see. Yeah, just your child's passions and following their learning. So their interests. Okay, so now we have some specifics on grade levels. So kindergarten, I think we might have had some K4 folks that said they were K4. So your child has to be 5 in Tennessee by August 15th to start kindergarten. And you can wait until they're 6 by August 15th. If you're from another state, it might be a little bit different. So you can check out the details on that there. So, but kindergarten, like we said, it's going to be a lot of play, you know, baking cookies. You're going to focus on reading, writing, and math, reading, writing, arithmetic, the 3 R's, learning through play, and just take time to kind of find how your child learns. You know, did they learn better by seeing or by doing? You know, do they learn better by hearing or by seeing? You know, that kind of thing, and spend time with your child, just kind of getting to know them. And then we have some suggestions here for pre-K and kindergarten there that you guys can look at if you've got kindergartners. 1st through 3rd grade, still really flexible. You're focusing on reading, writing, and arithmetic, learning through play. You can get box curriculum, but you don't have to. You can get books from the library. You know, you can make up your own curriculum. It is really flexible and up to you. Short lessons are great. It's great to, you know, take lots of breaks, work for a little while, let them go outside and play, you know, maybe do math and then do a fun project or something like that, do language arts, go outside and play, you know, kind of spread things out and take lots of breaks. And then there's some sample education plans here, you know, reading, writing, and like 1 or 2 other things for 1st through 3rd grade. Then if you have a 4th through 6th grader, your lessons are going to be longer. You know, you might want to add in grammar, spelling, writing, those kind of, well, writing you've been doing all along, but grammar and spelling. And as your child's getting into like around 6th grade, 6th, 7th grade, you want to start giving letter grades. In elementary, the elementary ages, you can just do pass fail, you can do excellent, satisfactory. It's up to you how you want to do that. Lots of good examples on here of, you know, helping dad around the house, all these kind of things that can count as school that we may not think of as school. It doesn't have to be sitting down doing book work for 4 hours. So take a look at those and get some ideas of things that you can count. Field trips are always great, you know, if places are open, which they may not be right now, but so here again are some sample lesson plans, some ideas of things that you could include on your education plan. And okay, and I think, Lonnie, are you gonna go into curriculum next?
Yeah, okay. See, great information. All those examples that we have now are awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what's under the curriculum tab. The first thing is that you have the total freedom to choose. So the 2 things, kind of like our motto at Home Life Academy, is that you have freedom and flexibility. total freedom and flexibility, really. And it's like it says, it's not just a logo, it's our entire philosophy. Okay, so that's really, really important, that we don't want you to ever feel like we're putting you in a box. You know, there are some things that we have, you know, where we want to know what your education plan is. We want you to put it in there, but you have freedom and flexibility to do what you're doing and to make changes at any time. So don't ever feel like, oh my gosh, they're making me do this. You know, we don't want you to ever feel like that. And so Beth touched a little bit about how your children learn. So here under the, again, it's under the curriculum tab and it's under Homeschool Styles. So we've got the student learning styles, you know, are they mainly auditory? Are they mainly visual? You know, and if so, they might want to do more things on the computer, do more like picture books, do more where they're watching movies and documentaries and videos, you know, because that's the way they learn the best. Whereas if they're auditory, I had one of my sons was very auditory, very musical. He was one of those that could listen to something and sit down and play it. And he could hear things. He was really good at memorizing Bible verses from the time he was tiny, you know, because he could listen and learn, you know. But after a while, I caught myself saying, use your eyes, because he was listening so much. And if that's the case, I want to tell you, you might want to have their eyes checked because he actually did have this thing with his eyes where he was not seeing in 3D, and he had to do some eye exercises, you know, for a couple of years, you know, so that was like, oh my goodness, you know, or they might be very verbal, you know, where they're very good at communication skills, the spoken and the written communication skills. And so, you know, that's something that you can have them write, you know, have them write their own books, do the lap books, you know, do all kinds of things like that if they're very verbal, and let them be presenting a lot of things orally, you know, which my kids love to do. And we did a lot of videos of them, which we still have. Or most kids, some more than others, are kinesthetic learners, you know, learning by doing, the hands-on. And like I said, really, I think most kids are kinesthetic, but some, that is totally the way they learn, you know. And then you're going to be doing all that hands-on stuff. They're not going to be the kids that want to sit down and watch a video to learn something. They want to do it. They want to play with it. They want to manipulate it. And so when you're picking, for example, math courses, you could pick, hold on. Well, my husband just came in, and if they get too loud, I'll shut the door.
Well, I was going to say too, you know, I feel like with the learning styles, if you kind of teach from all of those styles, especially when they're young and you don't know how they learn, kind of throw everything at them and hopefully something will stick, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As they start getting older, you know, you really probably can see their strengths, but sometimes it doesn't really occur to you. You know, for example, we were talking about math. Well, math, you see, is very hands-on and manipulatives, you know. So for the hands-on learners, you know, you might want to go with something like that as opposed to a textbook. But my daughter, even though I know all this stuff, sometimes you don't think about it, but I had used teaching textbooks with the boys. And so I naturally started her in teaching textbooks when she, you know, got into 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade. And she refused to watch the lessons on video. She just wanted to do the book. And I kept saying, you're missing out on a lot. And she goes, well, Mom, I don't know why you would have picked this for me, because, you know, I just want to read books. That's how I learn. And I thought back and I went, yeah, I should have known that. She did not like to do things on the computer in particular. So that's just funny when sometimes we won't think about that. We get a curriculum and then it totally doesn't work for that child. And that's okay. Switch gears, okay? But the other thing that I want to show you, and well, this is what type of homeschooler are you? You know, kind of goes like with your personality types. That's just kind of a fun thing to do. But this one right here is Homeschool Styles. Now, this is for you, the mom. And you're going to change. You're probably going to change. But for all you new moms, especially with the kindergartners, now, you know, you might be like me starting out and think, oh my goodness, because all you know is the public school. And so you might be thinking, you know, we have to sit there for 4 hours with my kindergartner. Oh my gosh, how is this going to work? And it's not fun. That is not the way really to do it. Sometimes that's all we know when we really want that structure. But even if we do that a little bit, we want to mix and match. So the eclectic is really a little bit of everything. You know, it's like, okay, we're going to the library or to the bookstore, or, you know, you want a lot of books. You want a learning environment in your home. Okay, so you want resources, you know, you want it to be the kind of a home where you can just let them learn, and they're going to be having all the resources that they need. So eclectic is just, you know, you might use a workbook here, and you might use library books here, and you might use a really nice textbook that you like, and a lot of hands-on things. And it mentions unschooling in other areas. Well, what is that? Unschooling was first coined by John Holt, who had worked in the public system for years and saw that it was not working. It didn't have the fruit. And so what he really started being a proponent of was what he called unschooling, which is not schooling, okay? But what it is letting your, you know, children kind of lead the way. And I did this a lot. I was more eclectic because I did some of everything, and we had a co-op group as well. But really, I love the unschooling approach, because even though we were more structured than a lot of unschoolers, we let the kids lead the way. So for instance, if in kindergarten, your son loves bugs right now, you know, he's really into insects. Well, okay, you go with that, you know, and that is what that is all about. You go with their interest, or say, you know, the next year, maybe your kids are really into electricity and magnetism. You know, maybe they're really into space and the stars and constellations and planets. You go with that. You know, if you see that interest, you want to feed that, and you want to go with that, because I'll tell you one thing. Homeschooling is fun, and it's super easy when you do it like that. Instead of always pulling them away from what they're interested in to doing something they're not interested in, that's not quite so fun, and it's not nearly as effective, you know, as going with their interests. Because when kids are interested in something and they're curious about everything, they love it. All you have to do is just feed that. And I mean, you don't even know where that's going to end up, but the things that they can learn as kindergartners will amaze you when you just feed their interest. You know, there's also online, of course, more and more people are going online. I don't recommend doing everything online, because kids need to play. They need to be doing all that hands-on stuff for the learning to take place. So, but like I said, mix and match. There's also Charlotte Mason, if you wanted to check into that a little bit more, which I love Charlotte Mason. It's real learning as opposed to fake learning, real life experiences, real books, you know, just letting kids learn. Waldorf is kind of like that too. Just homeschooling the whole child at once. Taking care of their body, mind, and spirit. And, you know, they're not going to be using the textbooks like Charlotte Mason, you know, they're going to be more creating their own. And we did that too, you know. The Montessori, which I love every one of these. And we did this a lot in kindergarten. So in kindergarten, you know, I didn't set up learning centers all over my house necessarily, but we kind of did have that because, and you probably do too, you know, especially, you know, with little girls, you might have the whole kitchen thing and, you know, and playing store and then having the whole teacher set up with the dry erase boards and the blackboards and all the school stuff where they can play school and dress up. You know, we had all that. And then the little boys, they've probably got their train sets and their cars and their little rug and their building things and all their Legos. And I mean, all these, that's you know, kind of that Montessori approach. And then what you can do is go with the seasons, you know, all through elementary. We totally went with the seasons. So, you know, they're learning about snow and all that science stuff, and even getting your microscope and looking at snow or watching a video on it, you know, building a snowman, all that stuff, all the winter stuff, you know. And then spring comes, you're doing all the spring stuff. And so it's pretty easy to do those learning centers. You know, you might have the cocoon in a jar, you know, you might have the dry leaf collection in the fall. You know, you're going to go with the seasons and it's really just kind of those science centers. So what they do in Montessori, they will have like different learning centers a lot of times, you know, the science, the math with all the math manipulatives and games and stuff, you know, the reading and the phonics and all that. But anyway, it's just fun for kids that way. And they are basically playing. So they are learning through all of this play. Some is structured, some is unstructured, you know, but you're going to be in there letting them play and showing them something new, you know, and doing something with them and then letting them play again. So then the last one is more structured. We did this too. We did it all. Of course, I homeschooled for like 30 something years, you know, all my kids and all my grandkids, you know. But the classical is just that it's classical. It's got an emphasis on Greek and Latin. And, you know, as they get older, that's when we started doing classical. So you can check into all these. And again, it's all on our website. So how am I going to get out of this? Go back to this. Okay. Anything else I wanted to talk about? Okay, so then as far as curriculum goes, we have some featured curriculum. This is by no means exhaustive. You know, this does not mean that this is even preferred, but these are just things that we put on here to give you an idea, some ideas of some really good curriculum that we like. I used to go to Kathy Duffy reviews all the time before I would get curriculum, still do. We've got online, we've got curriculum resources here to buy curriculum. We've got used curriculum down here. I went to Veg Source back in the day all the time, but there's others, of course. And then we have every subject here, so you can just click on one. Now, I will say that the all-in-one is mainly like publishers and books, textbooks, you know, but the unit studies is something that, again, going back to the way kids learn, and especially elementary school, is unit studies. And we did this throughout. And my kids, I'll tell you one thing, they will remember unit studies, you know, and it's because you're spending more time and you're getting deeper into these things, and it's fun. Again, it's kind of goes with that whole student-led thing. So, so when they're interested in something, these are some unit study, you know, or more combination unit study curriculum you can use, or again, you can put together your own really easily. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid. I talk to moms all the time who, I remember that. I was scared to death, you know, thinking, how can I do this? But once you get to doing it, you realize that you don't have to be a teacher to do this because you're a parent. God gave you these kids, and there's no one better qualified than you. No one knows your students like you do, because why? They're not just your students, they're your children. You're with them 24/7. You know them. You know their heart. You know what they love. You know the way that they learn. And when you see a spark in their eye and you see something that interests them, or something they're asking a million questions about, then don't ignore that. My son, who's a major in the Air Force, and he's a pilot, he went through the Air Force Academy, but I firmly believe it's because when he was 5 years old, and talking about curriculum, a lot of our curriculum was not formal curriculum that I would buy. You know, we ordered lots of things through the mail back in those days, and you can do that now. You know, so we would get the little science magazines, and we would get all these different things for them. And I read him an article about Chuck Yeager, test pilot, when he was 5 years old. And I saw his eyes light up, and he said, that's what I want to be. Now he's 5 years old. You figure that's going to change a million times, right? But it didn't. And I think the reason is because I just kept feeding that. I saw that. I saw him light up. So we went to air shows. We did paper airplanes. I got the paper airplane kits. We did everything. I just kept feeding it. And he never changed. He never wavered on that. You know, now kids could do, they could, doesn't mean they're going to, but I firmly believe, and he loves to fly. And every pilot that's ever worked with him or taught him said, you were born to fly. Never seen anything like it. You know, so God puts things in the hearts of our kids. And when we homeschool, we can pay attention when we see that thing and go, wow, maybe that's something that God has put in them and I can feed it, you know, and that desire can grow and become a reality, you know, so that's a cool thing about homeschooling. All right, back to you, Beth. Let me stop my screen sharing. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, and I meant to talk about learning differences when we were here. I forgot, so we'll go back to that. So, you know, every child is different. Some kids are great at, they might be, you know, ahead in reading and behind in math. Some kids might be ahead in math and behind in reading. And that's kind of the beauty of homeschooling, is you can work at their level. You can tailor your curriculum to their level. But some kids do have specific learning struggles, and we've got some information here under academics learning differences. We do have a resource, Trudy Abel, who we can refer folks to if you have complex situations, but there is a lot of information here under learning differences. So we've got information on emotional and behavioral disorders. If your children struggle with that, we have some information on ADHD, if your kids struggle with that. I will say that kids with ADHD oftentimes have focusing issues. And so anything hands-on is really good. The unit studies that we were talking about, or anything that's hands-on that has activities, that can be really good for your kids. We've got a section on autism, if your kids have struggled with that. Intellectual disability. And then we've got a section on the special education law, and then learning disabilities. And I wanted to just focus on those a little bit more. So specific learning disabilities, well, first off, there's some, I believe it's here, yeah, some characteristics. So, you know, if you find your kids, look over this, and if you find your kids struggling in a certain area, you know, there might be a learning disability that's behind that. It might not be that they're just fighting you or just don't want to do their work. It might be that they have a learning disability. So look over these and see, you know, does your child fit these symptoms? You know, do they have a short attention span? Performs inconsistently from one day to the next. Speech, oftentimes, if they have speech issues, they oftentimes have learning issues as well. Letter reversals. There's a lot of different things listed on here. So I encourage you to look over those, especially if you think, okay, my child is struggling. What's going on? Why can they not keep up? That kind of thing. But then we've got specific pages for dyscalculia. If they have trouble with math, look over the, you can look over the symptoms of those, and we have resources to help if they struggle with dyscalculia or dysgraphia or dyslexia, any of these. So dysgraphia, if they struggle with writing, that can be trouble with handwriting or trouble kind of getting the words out. Either of those, there's several different types of dysgraphia listed here. So we do have some resources available here as well, some tips and that kind of thing. So that's something good to check out. And then here is dyslexia, if they have trouble with reading. Just check these out. If your kids are struggling, feel free to reach out. I help with special ed or struggling learners. So feel free to reach out to me. If you've got any specific issues that you would like to talk about and curriculum that you would like recommendations for. And my email is beth@homelifeacademy.com. So you can email me there, and I would be glad to chat with you more about learning differences if your kids have that. Also wanted to talk about grade reporting. So we talked about this a little bit. Grades are due January 15th and June 15th. And let's see, there are videos here that are really good if you're new to homeschooling, how to enter your education plan, how to enter grades, how to enter attendance. These are all really good. Portfolio for elementary students can just be kind of extracurricular stuff if you want to keep track of that. I think that's mostly used for high school. Does that sound right, Lonnie?
Okay, I'm muted.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the portfolio is really mainly for high school. And then, you know, credits, of course, things like that. But, you know, these videos that she does on the Apple Core are for everyone, and they're great, the ones that Christy does.
Right.
So let's take them to Apple Core. You want to?
Okay, yeah, I've got that up here, so I can do that. We've got, here's a pretend student of Lonnie's, Amber. So let's see, if you, I think this will work. Let's see, well, maybe not. Okay. So once you've clicked on, you'll see your students listed here, and then you can click on View Report Grades next to your student. This one is elementary, first grade. So you'll see the classes listed here. You'll see math and language arts and at least 2 others. So this particular person was unsure of resources. So that would be something you might want to talk to a counselor about and say, okay, you know, what would be a good math resource for my child? And we'd be glad to chat with you about that. So when you go to enter your resources, you can click on that Edit Semester button, and then you go here to Course Info, and you can update your resources here. And then at the end of the semester, when you go to enter grades, that is here. You would put, like, if you haven't entered grades for the fall semester yet, you click Fall Semester, and then you go to In Progress and enter the grade. So you can do letter grades if you want in elementary, or you can just do pass fail if you prefer to do that. So was there anything else we wanted to talk about on Apple Core?
Yeah, so we really do not recommend putting that unsure like this mom did. You know, we would recommend, even if you are unsure, go ahead and put some resources that you know you have, you know you're going to be using these. And in particular for first grade, kindergarten, you know, the early elementary years, you know that you've got some things you are going to be using. And again, you don't have to have settled on a particular curriculum. However, if you think, okay, I might use Matthew Z, you can go ahead and put that, and you can go ahead and put, you know, math games. What else do you have? You have all kinds of things, right? And you might just want to list some of those things. Now, when it comes January 15th, you know, or December, when you're done with the semester and you're putting in the grades, you might look back and say, oh, you know what? We did not even use Matthew C at all. You can go through, like Beth said, and just edit and just let us know at that point, what did you do? And that's not just for us, but that's for you as well. So you will know from year to year, you'll have a whole record of everything that you've used. So, you know, I would say more here is better than less, you know.
Yeah. And like if you have younger kids coming up, you know, you think, oh, I'm going to remember what I used, but you might not. It might be nice to have a record of what you use so you can look that up.
Absolutely.
And then here's where you would go to enter attendance. And so you would just click add days. This is for last school year, but and you would do fall semester and say they did 90 days. You would type in 90 days and hit save. And that is all you do for attendance. You don't have to have 90 days in the fall semester. You can do less than that in the fall, make up the difference in the spring. That is fine too. Okay. I think I saw a question, I don't see questions right now, about homeschooling through the summer. It's fine to continue through the summer. It's actually really good in the elementary years to continue math and reading, especially through the summer, because kids tend to forget a lot. So maybe just some games you could do to keep it fun. You can continue with your current curriculum through the summer if you want. A lot of times libraries will have summer reading programs. That can be a fun way for the kids to read and get rewarded for their reading. You could kind of create your own summer reading program at home as well. So that is fine to do that as well. So let's see. Let's go to back up here. Okay, requesting documents. This is where you can go to, if you want a counselor to contact you, you can go to the request manager. That would be, I'm going to go back over here to, I don't think it'll work because
Yeah, it will.
Will it work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just go to home.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Okay, so so from Apple Core, let's go back to Apple Core. So from Apple Core, you click the home button and that'll put you back to just where you're logged in. And this is the request manager. So you can hit create request and you can say counselor K through 6. And you can type in what your request is, and then someone will contact you. There are other things that you can request here. I don't know that much of these would apply to elementary school. If you want a student ID or a teacher ID, that is there. But pretty much anything you want, you can request through this. You can, of course, also do the live chat, or you can call us as well. Okay. And then we're going to go over here and talk about resources real quick. That didn't work. Okay, so we do have a blog, and check out, there are some recent blog posts about struggling learners, autism, dysgraphia, ADHD, and I think several others. So check those out if you have a student who struggles. There may be some good information there for you. Our Blue Eagle store, you can go to get gear. If you want some swag, you can get some things there. Discounts here, you can check this out. There are some specific discounts that you have as an HLA member, and those are listed here. Also, anywhere that has a teacher discount. If you take that email that you received, your confirmation of enrollment email, they should give you a teacher discount. And if you need some places might want a card, you could get that teacher ID card. You could request that we were just talking about as well. And then let's see. Okay, yeah, forms and downloads is the other thing I wanted to point out to y'all. So if you are doing a religious or medical exemption, there's a form here for that. You can upload your forms here. And then I think there was one other thing. Okay, yeah, birth certificates. This is where you upload your birth certificates. I think that's pretty much immunization records you can submit here as well. So I think that is pretty much all that is going to apply for elementary school from there. Okay, did you want to talk about FAQs or you want me to start on that, Lonnie?
Either, but we do have an awesome FAQ. Is there anything you want to talk about there?
Let me move this out of the way here. I'll just talk about the K through 8 student section here. Take a look at that. A lot of this is stuff we've already talked about. Testing is not required. We talked about that. We don't offer testing, but there are some links for testing that you can do at home. You can also look for groups in your area that might allow you to test with them. Private schools or maybe co-ops, classical conversation groups sometimes allow you to test with them, that kind of thing. If you're returning to public or private school, there is information there on that. Reporting grades, we talked about that. Can't start taking high school courses until 8th grade, so that doesn't apply. We talked about what classes for kindergarten, 4 hours of school, but it can be all kinds of fun things, so yeah. And we talked about how to reach a counselor and what age you could register for homeschool. But anyways, if you've got questions, oftentimes you can find answers there in the FAQ section.
Okay, Beth, we do have a question here. Can you tell us again where to request a teacher ID? She missed that part.
Teacher ID, sure. Okay, so back to your account. So say you are in, can I do that from here? Where are we? Okay, so from Apple Core, or from your account, from Apple Core, you would go to Home, and then you would go to the Request Manager. And was it a teacher ID or a student ID?
Well, she was asking about teacher, but it could be either one.
Okay, yeah, so that's right here, teacher photo ID. You would click on that, and then it gives you instructions on what you need to include, which, let's see, and looks like you're charged $5. You can get it quicker by paying $15 for a rush fee. And you will put the information in that they request in the box, and they will send you your card. So that's pretty easy.
Can I tell you a funny story that happened? Well, I always had the teacher ID, in my wallet behind my driver's license. So not long ago, I was out with my grandson. He's into trains, so we went to Arlington to watch the train go by. And, this was a few months ago, so we got a little frozen lemonade, and I just had taken out my wallet instead of carrying my whole purse with me. And then we sat down to watch the trains, and I set my wallet down beside me, right? And off we went. Later on, after I got home, someone, probably Kelly from Home Life Academy office, calls me, and she goes, Lonnie, did you leave your wallet in Arlington? And I'm like, what?
Oh, no.
Said, yeah, one of the stores there has called. So when I went to pick it up, she goes, yeah, we were looking through your wallet and nothing had a phone number on it, but your Home Life Academy photo ID had Home Life Academy's phone number on it. It was so funny, but I always had that ID, and it's very, very handy to have when you go to Barnes & Noble bookstore or all these places that offer discounts. You just show your teacher ID. So I really do recommend getting those for $5, and my kids always had their student ID as well, you know, so that any given time, you know, they've got that student ID on them to show, oh yeah, I homeschool. I'm a student of Home Life Academy. And, you know, there are times when they needed an ID, and especially if they were even older and they didn't have a driver's license, but they would have that. So that is a really neat thing to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see, we're looking at chat now. Yes, it is going to be recorded.
So Katie Berry asks, is there an advantage to doing a K-4 course? It's not required by law. I mean, I think you're going to be probably working with your K-4 student, whether you're doing, you know, a curriculum or whatever you're doing, you're going to be reading to them, you're going to be teaching them their letters, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I would say definitely work with a 4-year-old, but you don't have to do a formal curriculum, and you don't have to necessarily register with us for that.
Okay, great. And, you know, talking again about the little ones, we can't stress enough to just keep doing what you've been doing, you know, because the thing is, before they ever got to K4 or kindergarten, they've learned how to walk, talk, you know, they know their colors probably, they're learning all kinds of things. And you never had a curriculum. You know, you never sat them down and said, oh my gosh, how are we going to learn how to walk, you know, or teach you a language. So really the best way is just to keep doing that. And then what you're going to do is just add in a little structure. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about, what does your day look like? You know, there's no typical homeschooling day. Of course, they're all going to be different, you know, but that's okay. It's life. It's your family, you know, but your typical homeschool day, I know ours, you know, I used to say if someone came to my house at any given time, they might not look at us and think we were doing school, you know, but we totally were doing school, because they're going to be doing things and they're going to be reading. And, you know, so early on, you're not going to have a lot of structure, you know, even in the public schools that are doing more well, I'm going to say private, that's doing the more Montessori learning, where the kids really learn better. You know, they've got like maybe 15 minutes of structured math, because I've been in those classrooms, you know, when my kids were in kindergarten, and they would have before lunch, after playing in all their learning centers, they would do like about 15 minutes in their math workbook. You know, and then they would have lunch, and then for reading and phonics, they would do another like 15 minutes in their phonics workbooks, and they would have story time, and then they would have the puppet center. I actually did the puppet center for one of my kids' classrooms, and, you know, and then they would be all in their learning centers again. So it doesn't take a lot. And then as they get older, like Beth said, you're going to add in more and more structure. But early on, don't expect your kindergartners to be sitting there at a desk or a table for an hour at a time, or even 30 minutes, because you might think they have ADHD and they don't. They're just a kid, and they want to play and they want to do things. And another thing is, because my sister-in-law is a doctor in speech pathology, and has just written so many books and done so much research. So I actually was concerned when my younger son was in kindergarten that he had all kinds of learning disabilities, and he had the speech thing going on where he couldn't say his R's, and he, you know, there were things he could not say. So she ended up coming over one day and just kind of talking with him and everything. And she said, don't worry about him, not at this point. So lots of times in kindergarten, even the dyslexia, that is going to go away. They're just learning. Things are going to be backwards. Things are, you know, they may be slower in one area, faster in another. So that's not the time to get really concerned, unless there's obvious things going on. But if it's just the speech lots of kindergartners have that, and lots of them have the whole backward letter thing going on too.
Sure.
So it's when they start getting a little bit older now, that's continuing. And that's when you really want to maybe call us up, talk to Beth. She may refer you to Trudy, you know, and you may end up getting some help in those areas.
Someone asked in the chat, Amy is from Ecuador, first year homeschooling, chose a bilingual curriculum for first grade. Do you think my girl would be able to switch to a full English curriculum by third grade? How much English should she do, or should we continue with a bilingual curriculum? I'm thinking that's a question for global. What do you think, Lonnie?
Yeah, I'm thinking probably so. Just from, you know, the ones that we've dealt with though, because I used to deal with all our international students, is I think bilingual is the best. I really do. And I wouldn't worry about, you know, how much English, but if you are doing bilingual with her and you are doing, you know, her native language and English, I wouldn't worry so much about how much, it's how much can she do? You know, so instead of us always setting those parameters, like how much should I assign, how much, you know, it's like when kids are having fun learning and you're just feeding it to them, then the sky's the limit, you know. So I would basically say, keep doing what you're doing, you know.
And if you want more specific help, you can email global@homelifeacademy.com.
Yes, absolutely, because they can give you a lot more help on that going into the upper grades and high school. Okay, let's see, any more Q&As? What is or was one of the biggest challenges for y'all homeschooling? What are some words of wisdom for us starting out? That's a great question. Let's see. What's the most, you know what, for me, I think the most difficult thing was letting go of everything that I thought education was, you know, and really what I came to realize is I did not want my kids to be educated like I was. I was educated. I got a great education in the public school system. I was just straight A, top of my class, all AP, all college scholarships. I mean, I was just one of those like little perfect students because I loved it, you know. But when everything was said and done and I started homeschooling, that's when I realized I got a fake education. I learned to make that A on the test. And then it was gone. You know, I mean, that's what happens. And I didn't want my kids to be learning to do well on a test. I wanted them to learn because they loved learning. You know, so I really ended up turning everything I knew about education on its head and started just teaching them in a very natural way, you know, and going with their interests. And we got into things and they learned, and, you know, they're all out of college now, but I guarantee you, because of our conversations when they come home, that they remember so many things from their elementary years. These were the things we did. These are the things we had fun with. And so, you know, I would just say that was a struggle for me early on. And I'm like a lot of you. I took my older son out and homeschooled him in first grade, knowing I was going to send him back to school in the second grade because his little brother wanted to be in that same kindergarten classroom, you know, that Montessori classroom. And so I worried and worried about, is he going to be behind? Are there going to be gaps that he doesn't know? Because really, I was just letting him play pretty much with his little brother and sister, and doing things, but going with his interests. So that worried me, and that might worry a lot of you that are thinking, I might end up putting my kids back in school. You know, are they going to be behind? But I will tell you one thing. He really had a boring year in his second grade. And the fact of the matter was that like at the end of the year when the teacher went around saying, what did you learn? List one thing you learned. Do you know what my son said? I was mortified. He said, I'm sorry, I did not learn one thing. And like, you did not tell her that. And he goes, I did, Mom. It was the truth. He did not learn one thing. And isn't that amazing that we played, we did things. I let him write stories, and I just let him read, and I let him do math, and he was so far ahead. So after that, I said, you know what? Why don't we just homeschool? The whole rest of the time we'll homeschool. And like I said, that was the one that went through the Air Force Academy and top of his class. So don't worry, don't struggle about, can I do this and are they behind? Because I guarantee you, this is God's plan. God's plan was for parents to teach their kids. And so, don't let go of that whole thing. What about you, Beth?
Well, my daughter had a lot of learning issues early on. And so for me, the biggest challenge was letting go of the idea that we have to do all these subjects and focus on reading, writing, and math, and not worry about all the other things that everybody else was doing. So if you have a child who struggles, know that it's okay to focus on reading, writing, and math, and the rest will come later. Work on those things, and throw some fun things in there. You don't have to be all the hard things, and so, but you don't have to do every subject every year. So that was.
Yeah, so we have a question, how to request change of default email address. So you can change things in your account, but, and we'll show you how to do that, but with your email and things like that, you'll want to call or email records@homelifeacademy.com, because when you're set up to get our monthly newsletter, they're going to need to know that you've got a different email address. Okay, so you can change it in your account. And again, you're just going to go back to your account and edit your family details. You can change your address, phone number, and all that. But like I said, when you change your email, let us know. And you can always just email that to records@homelifeacademy.com. Oh, also, one thing we didn't mention was Facebook. And you've got some of those links in your, your welcome letter when you first signed up. But don't forget about our Facebook accounts, because we've got the Home Life community Facebook pages where you can just really connect and share things. And then we've got specific ones for states. I know they're working on a global, but I don't think we've got that one up yet. I haven't checked lately. Let's see, Lonnie, thank you so much for sharing your experience with your son. It's my first year after 7 years of teaching in public domain. It was very encouraging while I struggled to unschool myself. Yeah, I will say, there's a workshop that I do that I love, and that's teaching the way kids learn. And the bottom line is that kids do learn through play. They learn more, surprisingly to us, through unstructured than structured activities. Not to say you're never going to do structured because of that, but after homeschooling all my kids, seeing my grandkids homeschool, I can look back and say, you know what, they would have been fine if I did not worry so much about all that curriculum and loading them up with all these things. I think they still would have been fine if I had pretty much unschooled a little bit more. So, if that's something that goes with your personality. But again, moms have their own styles, and I was just a little bit too much type A to let go of that. So, you just go with it, and God is going to teach you as you go, and He's going to teach your kids. And, a lot of our moms, they're dealing with things. Their kids are dealing with a lot of things now, with a lot of financial pressures, with a lot of physical issues going on, medical issues, emotional, all kinds of things are going on right now. And so a lot of the times the moms will call and, it's like, oh my gosh, we're behind, because all this life got in the way and how can we get caught up? So I've been working with a lot of these moms, who think that maybe the fall semester was a total write-off because you weren't doing what you planned. And I would say, you know what? It's not that life got in the way. That is the learning that God wants you to do right now. So let's think of what they did and put that in there, because they're learning all kinds of lessons now that we did not necessarily have in our education plan. And that's fine, especially for the elementary. I'm working with a lot of our moms who have high school kids, but we're still seeing what did they do for high school credits. So with elementary, don't forget, this is my word of wisdom to you, is that more than homeschool, I always remind parents that the most important part of that compound word is the home instead of the school. Just don't forget that God put us in families, and parents are to teach their kids, and we do so in such a natural way, if we don't let the school determine what we're doing so much. So, just have fun with your kids. Just value this time you have because they're going to grow up really fast. So that's kind of my encouraging words. And if you struggle with certain things, then call or, request a counselor call or email, but nothing like touching base and calling and having Beth or me or any of our other counselors had that conversation with you.